Look here. The ground is strewn with boulders. The soldiers up there are entrenched all over the ground, and their guns and their rocks. Every move I make is observed. If I attack as ordered, I'll lose half my division, and they'll still be looking down their throats at us from that rocky hill right there. We must move around to the right, sir, and take them from the rear.
Sam.
This scene from the movie Gettysburg depicts one of the most controversial questions of the battle. Would the Confederates have won if they had moved around Little Round Top? We're going to use a unique war game to find out, so come with us as we conduct a live action game on the actual ground at Gettysburg and then link that to a tabletop war game on my beautiful custom-built 6mm Gettysburg terrain board. Let's find out if Hood should have moved around to the right in a war game like you've never seen before. On the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, the Confederate Army needed a plan to successfully attack and defeat the Union Army that was dug in on Cemetery Hill just south of the town of Gettysburg. Rather than attack this position head-on, General Robert E. Lee ordered 2 divisions of his 1st Corps to move to a position where they could hit the Union Army's left flank. Did the Confederacy ever have a decent chance to win the Battle of Gettysburg? General Hood wanted to move around the Round Top Hills and attack the Union Army from behind. Would that have worked? How would he even have moved his 4 infantry brigades, artillery batteries, supply wagons, and ambulances around the hills? Was it even possible? To determine how to best set up our game, we have sent our Union and Confederate teams to the actual battlefield at the Gettysburg National Military Park. The Confederate players will be armed with an 1859 map of the area and can only use roads that existed at the time of the battle as they try to move Hood's division around the Round Tops. They need to be careful to avoid being spotted by the Union signal station on top of Little Round Top. The Union players will start at General Meade's headquarters, where Cemetery Ridge blocks the view of the battlefield. So they will need to interpret signal messages to try and figure out what the Confederates are up to. I will be the Union player's game master and will pass on a mix of historical signal messages and messages generated by the Confederates' movement.
All right, guys, it's 3 o'clock, July 2nd, 1863.
Eric Lindblade, co-host of the fantastic Battle of Gettysburg podcast, is going to act as game master to Matt and Carl, who are playing General Hood and his staff. Can they move their division around to the right?
So we have some decisions to make, and the decision that you have made is that you will be launching a flank attack around the southern end of the Army of the Potomac's line, beyond those 2 hills that you see in your front. So we will leave it up to you to figure out the best route for you to get your troops there. So Godspeed and good luck.
How will they get from this spot on the battlefield around those 2 hills?
You think viewers will like my Confederate accent?
I think we might get in a little trouble for that.
Probably best if we don't.
I can say with certainty, as a historian and a Southerner, that is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. So.
As the Confederate players begin to make their plan, the Union team receives their first signal message.
General, another message from Round Top, from Jerome again. Over a division of the rebels is making a flanking movement on our right. The line extends over a mile and is advancing, skirmishing. There is nothing but cavalry to oppose them. That doesn't sound too good, General.
All right, well, we need to be sure we alert 12th Corps to movement on the right flank. Make sure they are well dug in on Cups Hill there, and be ready to oppose what looks like an attack forming in that area.
Yes, sir.
Aid! First Union signal message at 1:30 draws Meade's attention to his right, or the Confederate left. Meanwhile, Carl and Matt are moving in the opposite direction, and head to the intersection of Red Rock Road and the Millerstown Road to meet the head of their column.
All right, gentlemen, we have now moved with the head of your column. The head of your column is right now at that road intersection that you see beside me. You are right now on this map that I am giving you right here. So I want you to notice very quickly, look in front of you. What can you see beyond you? Nothing right now. That is important because the task you have is to try to move your infantry, your artillery, and your wagons relatively undetected, but also try to move them as quickly as possible so that you can get into position to attack the end of the Union line along the Tawnytown Road. So you guys have this map to use to influence your decisions, so best of luck to you.
We're going to have to trust in northern cartographers. I don't like our chances.
Well, you know, if I'm reading this thing right, I'd be very surprised. But, I mean, it seems like we have a bunch of different options here.
Yeah. So in terms of our options, we could, I suppose, go overland more directly, or we could cut through the road back here, maybe be a little bit more reliable in terms of we're all on road, our wagons are fine. But I imagine this is a pretty roundabout way to get there. It'll take us longer.
And think about, too, right now we cannot see Little Round Top.
Right.
If you can see Little Round Top, historically, Little Round Top could see you. There's a Union signal station there, of course. They have signal flags that would immediately signal back to George Meade and his headquarters. So the objective is to try to move as quickly as you can, as undetected as you can, and not be sighted by this. So I will defer to your military judgment on what to do best. I am just merely a historian.
What do you think, Matt? I mean, on one hand, you know, overland cuts off a lot of distance. It's a more direct route, but I kind of think that the roads are our friend. I mean, we want to get that artillery and those wagons moving as safely and securely as possible. And I don't know, it's my experience that men move more easily on roads, you know, that we can pick up a good pace. What do you think?
For sure. I also, I like that we remain unobserved because I think that Meade has enough of his own problems right now. It'd be good to not have to worry about being spotted. We can get them early. I think we should go over road as well.
What's the situation with cavalry, Eric?
So typically, when a lot of people think of Confederate cavalry on July 2nd, they believe they don't arrive until about 4:30 in the afternoon. But Robert E. Lee does have 2 brigades of cavalry on the battlefield. So in our scenario here, you will have the potential to use that. Now think about the advantage that having those troopers scouting out your position will give you. They'll be able to maybe give you a sense of what the terrain is like, what are the roads like, potentially any enemy forces that could be in your front. But, of course, for them to scout that out, it takes time. So remember, one of the questions you have is to try to get there as quick as you can. What is more valuable to you? Intelligence or getting your troops there in a timely manner? Or is there a middle ground? Of course, once again, I defer to you gentlemen to figure that out.
What do you think, Matt?
Do we know how long the cavalry are out from us? Do we have any reports from them?
It'll be about 30 minutes for them to arrive to this position where you're at right now.
So we're going to have to sit here and wait for 30 minutes and then wait for the cavalry to scout ahead and do their job. I think time may be more valuable here.
I think we always press forward. We need to press forward. There is an objective that we have to accomplish, and we can't sit around waiting all day for a bunch of lazy horse troopers to come and join us.
That's the General Hood I know.
Who started out as a cavalryman.
I think the roads are our friend.
I think we will cut out a lot of issues that we would otherwise have with our wagons and our men if we followed the road. I worry how long we're going to have to detour, but the road is the way.
From the Round Top Station again, sir. This is from Captain Hall. A heavy column of enemy's infantry, about 10,000 strong, is moving from opposite our extreme left toward our right. Let's take a look at the map, sir.
Captain Butterfield, it appears that there's now a heavy concentration of troops, Confederate soldiers, infantry coming in from our left flank, moving from left to right. So what is the current status of the 3rd Corps?
They're defending, sir.
I think we need to go up there and take a look to see what's happening. We are headed over to find out what's happening on our left flank. We're going to visit the 3rd Corps and see what's happening. I also want to see that we move up more troops to extend our left. So we're going to notify the 5th Corps to start sending units up and onto the Round Tops.
seems like a lot of the signal traffic said that the Confederates were moving to your extreme right, so I'm wondering why you're concerned about your left.
Because they're coming from the left to the right. So I'm not sure if we're seeing the entire line or we're just seeing a part of it at the moment.
While the Union team relocates to the 3rd Corps location on the Union left flank, the Confederates, who have been traveling south on Red Rock Road, make a turn to the east and get a real shock.
So we've decided to take the road instead of going over land. I hope that works out for us. Maybe we'll have some advantages or disadvantages during the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that we'll at least keep the whole division together maybe a little better. But it looks like we're kind of going out of our way to do it. But we are also keeping the element of surprise. We are well beyond where the signalers could probably see us.
Right. We are using historic roads. We are using the roads that would have been here in 1863. So it's not totally, kind of counterfactual history. We're at least using what would have been here in 1863.
Sure. And we left the cavalry behind. What do we think about that?
Well, I don't know. It's interesting. Scouting is really important and knowing is really important, but we kind of know where the enemy broadly is, right? We know where we need to be and where we're going, and I kind of think, if we can concentrate forces and get there, that's going to be, I mean, it seems to me that the big question of Civil War battles is can you get the guys where they need to be and coordinated in the right time at the right place quickly and efficiently?
Yeah. All right, guys.
Ooh. Yeah, all right. Let's see what we got.
Here we are.
So what are we seeing? What are we seeing over there?
Well, more ominously for you gentlemen, is if you look straight across the field here, do you see those two hills kind of on the horizon?
Yeah.
The big hill is Big Round Top. The slightly smaller hill, that's Little Round Top. As we know, there is a signal station on Little Round Top. Now keep in mind also today, we're looking at this in 2023, but in 1863 you would not have had the trees here. You would have had much more visibility. So really, even though you were sighted today, you would have been much more sighted in 1863 where you are from here.
Well, I guess we've got some decisions to make now.
I feel very seen.
Yeah.
Well, I think at this point we've committed. So my thought would be maybe we push through. They've seen us. Damage is done, but this is our route, and we have all our wagons with us still.
We could double back if we wanted, but we'd lose a lot of time, and we've already probably been spotted at this point.
And keep in mind, in the 19th century, very rarely do these armies fight at night. Imagine if we were trying to record this at 10 o'clock in the evening. We're not going to be able to see very much. So keep in mind, daylight is your friend. So the more daylight you have, the more ability you have to actually carry out these attacks. Also, your troops have already countermarched once today to get even into the position. So these guys have already had extra wear and tear on them. Do you really want to have these guys countermarch once again? Or do you just say, hey, we're here. Let's let in this case, the dice fall where it may.
Yeah, we did say that we wanted to get there fast and we wanted to get as many of our guys in the fight as possible. So I think we got to stay the course.
And we have our clear road here. We can keep our wagons together. So if anything, we've done what we set out to do.
And keep in mind, there is a lag in terms of that information on Little Round Top getting to George Meade's headquarters, and then from George Meade's headquarters issuing those orders to the appropriate troops. So just because you're sighted doesn't mean that instantaneously the Union Army is going to be able to react. So,
or if they even will, I mean,
there is that option as well. They may or may not react.
Do they have the men to spare to hold off this flanking maneuver here?
Right.
So
There's a whole battle going on.
These are why they pay the generals the big bucks, guys. So to figure this stuff out.
All right, so I think we're pretty set in our decision. We're going to keep going down the road and continuing our march.
Can we see where we are here, just so we get a
yeah? So kind of give you a sense of where we are. So this is that kind of Union fish hook here. So you're going to have to get around there. So we are only really about halfway into our journey right now for you guys. There are still some more decisions you're going to have to make once you approach the Emmitsburg Road.
So do we know what time it is? How long have we been here?
Right now it's been about 4 o'clock. From really our last stop to here, an hour has transpired for you. Now, historically at about 4 o'clock, John Bell Hood's division was preparing to launch their attack against the end of the Union line as they now know it, against Devil's Den, Wheatfield, places such as that. So what we're now going to see is you're right now at the point where Hood was fighting, but no shots have been fired yet. So it's going to be imperative that you can make up as much time as you can so that you don't run out of daylight.
All right, well, let's press on.
On we go.
General Meade and Butterfield have moved their headquarters from Meade's headquarters down to 3rd Corps Sickles' headquarters. We all know General Sickles. And guys, this is what you can see. The line runs north to Cemetery Hill, and in front of you here, you can see this beautiful line of trees. Now, I have it on good authority that this is a historic woodlot. So they could not see much beyond that, although to the left, you can see the round tops. There are no troops on the round tops.
Enemy troops.
Enemy troops or Union troops.
Unoccupied.
Unoccupied.
Unoccupied. Well, General, I believe the reports have been telling us that the Confederates have been moving across the front from the left to the right, which is interesting.
So they appear to be moving to the right and are going to strike our line somewhere here in the front of the either 3rd Corps or 2nd Corps.
General Meade, I think we should have General Sickles send some troops to the round tops and see what's going on over there.
I don't want General Sickles to spread his front any more than he has. I want 5th Corps to send a unit up there, so there should be a brigade that's available to move up to the round tops.
There's so much we don't know, though.
Oh yeah. And I'll tell you, if it felt long before in the car, this feels even longer.
Yeah, this is a march.
This is quite a march.
And notice kind of in front of us right now, you cannot see the round tops. So right now, they might be able to see the dust being kicked up as these columns are moving. But the Union Army is going to have to interpret this as something. Are they moving around our flank? Is Lee's army maybe repositioning themselves? There's a lot of things that they're going to be reading into that just because we know what we're doing doesn't mean that your enemy is going to know what you're doing.
And a messenger reaches you with this message.
A division of enemy troops has been sighted moving in a south-southeasterly direction. Appears to be 4 brigades supported by artillery, so they're heading.
So now they are
way.
moving in that direction.
They
so
are.
I want you to hurry up the brigade from the 5th Corps, get them up on that hill as quickly as possible. Be prepared to refuse our left flank. And alert the cavalry that we have on this end of the battlefield to be aware or watch for movement around the left of those hills.
As the Union players detach 1 brigade to cover Little Round Top, the Confederate players reach the most treacherous part of their movement to the east.
So we are about 6 miles south of the town of Gettysburg right now. So here we are now at another one of our intersections. We are now at the intersection of the Emmitsburg Road and Ridge Road. So we will have some more decisions for you to make while you're here.
All right, here we go.
All right, gentlemen, we are now at the intersection of Ridge Road and the Emmitsburg Road. The Emmitsburg Road is behind us. It's now about 5 o'clock now on July 2nd in the afternoon. You guys have made fairly decent progress to this point, but now you got some more decisions to make. As you look at Ridge Road, you'll notice that today it's a very narrow road. That means in 1863, it's also a very narrow road. So you've got some decisions to make. Now on a road like the Emmitsburg Road, some of the better roads, you can have your army in a column with all of your baggage, your wagons, and move pretty well. But on a road like this, you've got to really start to think about, well, how do I deploy my troops? Do I have my infantry move right ahead? Obviously your infantry has a little bit easier way of moving. Your artillery is going to be a little bit more beholden to the roads. They can move off the roads, but of course you're going to have running the risk of, do you break an axle? Does a horse, break a leg? Any number of things that can cause some problems. So right now you have to make the decision, how exactly are you going to send your division down this road? Are you going to send your infantry first, have your artillery kind of interspersed between the infantry, or do you keep your artillery kind of to the sides moving along, as we said, to try to keep that movement as best we can? So I'll leave it up to you two to figure out what is the best course of action for your troops.
Would these trees on the side of the road have been there at the time?
Most likely not. For the most part, it'll be a little bit more open in 1863. But there would have been some trees around here. But really your bigger concern is really going to be the condition of this road.
Quality of the road.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to do it, I think we need to, let the infantry go forward and leave the artillery in the back of the column. I mean, speed is our friend. Speed is our ally. We every choice we've made with the idea that we're gonna attack. We're gonna get in position. We're gonna flank, and we'll do it. So maybe we lose the artillery.
Yeah, it's already late in the day. We've already lost a lot of time. I think the artillery can arrive late. As long as the infantry are there, we have what we need.
All right, I think we're in agreement.
All right, you've made your decision.
You get another message about 4:45 from Cemetery Hill, which is the hill over
So
there.
I believe I'm hearing gunfire from this way.
No, not yet.
Oh, bad hearing.
This is from the signal station near Wadsworth's headquarters on Cemetery Hill.
Right.
One regiment of rebel infantry has just come out of the woods into a field northeast from here. Wow. That's
So east, northeast. So in this direction, they seem to be heading in, perhaps into this 12th Corps position. What else?
Well, the
does
rest of the
message-
message says, the enemy sharpshooters are in the woods at the foot of this hill, Cemetery Hill. I can see 16 guns not in position, 8 north-northwest and 8 northeast from here.
Okay,
16 guns, that's pretty significant.
that's perhaps 4 batteries.
So they appear to be making a move on both flanks.
They seem to be preparing an attack on this flank as well.
Do you think he's got enough force to attack us on both flanks at the same time?
I don't know. I would be concerned about that. We still have most of the 5th Corps in place.
The 7th Corps is somewhere.
I want 5th Corps to send another brigade towards Culp's Hill and the position of the 12th Corps.
While the Union players detach another brigade from 5th Corps, the Army's only reserve, the Confederate players move around Big Round Top.
So I think, what you guys are doing is you're trying to weigh what is best for the objective, but also having to factor in things that you can't really see. In this case, you're beginning to notice just how windy this road is going to be. Straight roads are a lot easier than windy roads. And here, this is going to obscure this Confederate flanking movement from their Union opponent. Now, there is a moment on this road where you'll actually be able to see the side of Big Round Top. Now, in our scenario, Big Round Top really isn't that bad. In 1863, Big Round Top was completely wooded with trees, so that really would have obscured any view from Little Round Top towards us, and anybody that was on Big Round Top, it's going to obscure their view of us as well. So if you actually look off there, you can see Big Round Top right there. So, of course, in our case, that doesn't really matter. You guys have really you're in position to launch your attack.
Let the dice fly high. Yeah. The thing is, I'm most proud of us, regardless of what happens, is that we didn't dither, right? Like, we made decisions, we didn't go back on them. I think, for me, it seems like the biggest mistake you can make as a general is to, constantly reverse and second-guess your decisions. So, I don't know, we made decisive action, and if it's a disaster, if it's a blunder, then, but I think there's an equal possibility that we're going to really catch them off guard, and this will be like a strike at their neck.
Yeah, we can only hope that the Union players are not interpreting their signal traffic well, or that they're not getting correct information.
With any luck.
With any luck.
And at 5:30, you get this message.
Again, this one's from Round Top, sir. A large cloud of dust has been sighted to the south of us. Composition unknown. Well, that's not much of a message, but presumably
From right there,
from
Round Top.
south of the Round Top station.
This is what I worried about. So what cavalry do we have available to scout in that direction? We need to be sure that this is maybe some of our own troops that are coming in late from Emmitsburg,
Yes.
or perhaps it is some Confederate force that have
So a
gotten
staff
around us.
officer reports there was a mishandling of orders, sir. No one has replaced General Buford's cavalry. There's no cavalry on the flank.
Not my fault, General.
A good chief of staff would have taken care of that.
But I'm not a good chief of staff, so that's my excuse.
Okay, write less music, be a soldier more.
All right. That doesn't leave
Is there
us many
no available
options.
cavalry on this flank?
No, sir, there is no available cavalry.
I want a company-sized skirmish formation to move from 5th Corps back in that direction to the south
A company to perform
for
reconnaissance.
reconnaissance, to
All
try
right.
to see if they can determine what is coming from that direction.
All right. So a company from 5th Corps to perform reconnaissance to the south, see if they can find out what that big cloud
Make
of
sure one
dust
of our
was.
aides accompanies them, and once they determine what's going on, they come back to us with the
Take
information.
dispatch riders with them.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we've made it. We've got from the Emmitsburg Road here to the Tawnytown Road. You are now more or less behind the Union line on their flank. The question you now have is how exactly are you going to deploy your division? Now keep in mind you have 4 brigades moving down the road, your artillery is behind it. So the decision you have is, are you going to commit these units in more piecemeal, which will certainly mean you're getting troops attacking a lot sooner, but you also run to the risk of also going in piecemeal and being, of course, dispatched as such. So the question is, do you want to send your troops in, or do you want to wait to get them to deploy behind the ridge here? That'll take you a little bit of time, but it'll also mean you'll have much more punching power when you do launch that attack.
On the one hand, we did say speed kills here, and we want to move in as fast as possible, but
We needed to get here quickly. We needed to move in undetected. But now that we've arrived, we need to ensure we have the most possible punching power when we're actually conducting the attack. I think we need to shake out.
yeah, absolutely. If we're going to conduct a flank attack, we better do it right. Let's go in force.
So keep in mind, this is going to cost you about 30 minutes, but we'll see if that risk is worth the potential reward.
What do you think?
Easy day. I think we got it.
We are all set to move to the tabletop wargame. It is 6 p.m. on July 2nd, 1863. The 4 infantry brigades of General Hood's division have moved behind the Union Army's left flank, and only 1 Union infantry brigade is defending Little Round Top. Join us for part 2 when Matt and Carl launch Hood's attack. It's late in the day. Will they have enough daylight to complete the assault? Or will Alex and CB hold the line? Find out when part 2 drops on July 20th.